Whenever I'm asked to teach a beginner how to cook, I always ask them, well, what do you like to eat? Because that's what they're going to want to cook. You'd be shocked how often the answer is meatloaf. So that's what I'm going to make. And you're also going to be shocked how easy it is to make. So I've got 2.5 pounds of ground chuck. It's very important that it's not too dry. You can ask the butcher for it. And then I've got sauteed onions and lots of flavorings to give it lots of flavor. I'll show you how I made the onions. I heated a tablespoon of olive oil in a medium sauté pan and then added 3 cups of chopped yellow onions. Then I added a teaspoon of chopped fresh thyme leaves, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. And just cooked it over medium-low heat, stirring it occasionally for about 10 minutes, just until the onions are translucent, but not brown. Then off the heat, I added 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1/3 cup of chicken stock, 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Then I mixed everything together and set it aside to cool slightly. So now I'm just going to add the onions and all that great flavoring to the meat. Everything's right in there. It's going to be delicious meatloaf. Next thing is breadcrumbs. I use about 1/2 cup of dried breadcrumbs. I use dry ones because it really holds the meatloaf together. And why make fresh breadcrumbs when you don't have to? 2 eggs, which also holds the meatloaf together. I always break them into a little bowl, so if you get any eggshell in it, you can take it out easily instead of fishing around in meatloaf. Nobody wants crunchy meatloaf. And then pour it on top. Now this is the key to making meatloaf. You want it to sort of aerate it. You don't want it to be dense. So it's great to mix everything in with a fork, and it sort of breaks it up. Or everybody's favorite method is with your hands, which is, I think, what I'm going to do. Clean hands, cook's best tools. So just toss it all together and make sure you're not compacting it, because we want light, delicious, flavorful meatloaf. This is a little like making mud pies. No wonder beginning cooks like to make this. It's good and messy. Okay, half sheet pan. I'm just gonna form it in one big loaf. This makes a lot of meatloaf, but leftovers are great for sandwiches. Just pat it lightly. You want it to have an even shape so it cooks evenly. If it's thicker at one part than the other, part of it will overcook. Okay, that's meatloaf. And then, just because it keeps it nice and moist and gives it great flavor, I'm gonna put 1/2 cup of ketchup right on the top. This is where clean hands come in. Just smooth it over. You can really do it with a knife if you want to. Okay, now I'm gonna put it into the oven, 350 degrees, for about an hour and 10 minutes. And it's gonna be the most delicious meatloaf. But I'm gonna show you a trick that keeps it really moist. And this is a key detail. Nobody wants meatloaf that's dry and cracked on the top, but if you get a pan, fill it with very, very hot tap water and put it underneath, you'll have moist, delicious meatloaf every time. I guarantee it. I think I smell meatloaf, which means it's ready. Ah, perfect meatloaf every time. And the way I can tell whether it's done or not, it needs to be about 155 to 160 degrees, instant read thermometer, and you just put it right through the end. It's the best way to make sure you get the center of it. Just perfect. Okay, now this is the challenge, getting it onto a plate in one piece. Let's see if I can do it. Whoa. Fantastic. Nice big thick slices. A little messy, but it's meatloaf. We're not talking filet of beef here. Oh, nice and hot. Wow, this looks absolutely delicious. You can see all the onions, and it looks like it has so much flavor. A little garnish, make it look better, and a little taste to make sure it tastes good. Now, what beginner wouldn't want to make meatloaf? It's so delicious. It's light, it's full of flavor, and nobody is going to believe that you're a beginning cook.